this is Joanne. Today we're gonna make this slouch zipper bag. The measurement of this bag is about 14 inches by 12 inches with adjustable strap and a couple of pockets inside. The construction of this bag is rather similar to the Marion bag that I posted a month ago, and the patchwork itself is really similar to the Karina patchwork wallet that I posted a couple months back. By the way, I love this wallet. I've been using this since I made it. If you haven't seen the tutorial, you can go ahead and check it out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any question at all, don't hesitate to ask me in the comment section down below. And without further ado, let's get started. Prepare some fabric strips measuring about 18 inches long by 2.5 inches wide. You can use jelly rolls, or you can cut your own fabric in various prints or solid colors. I used 4 different colors for mine. You can use more or less, it's totally up to you. Take 2 strips and then you're going to lay them right side together. However, you want to have one of the side to be angled, just like so. You may position the angle either wider or narrower, it's totally up to you. Again, you want to make sure that the right side of your fabrics are touching each other. Secure them in place with a couple of pins, and then you're going to sew along the edges of the upper strip with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Since I'm using the 1/4 inch foot here, I simply align the edges of my upper strip with the edges of the presser foot itself. Once you've done sewing the strip, go ahead and trim off the excess fabric, and you're gonna end up with something like this. Now head over to your ironing board and then press the seams open. Now I'm gonna take my 3rd strip and then lay that right side together and angle that as well. You may wanna alternate the angle position of your fabric. This way you will have a balance between the left and the right sides. Secure them in place with a couple of pins and then go ahead and do the same. Sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. And of course, you're going to cut this excess fabric off and give that a quick press as well. So I'm gonna do the same with the next strip. However, I'm going to angle my strip to the opposite side. So this time the angle will be on my left hand side. So you want to continue on sewing until your fabric measure at least 17 inches long. So here I've got all of my strips sewn together. I ended up using 13 strips. So what we're gonna do next is to square this piece to measure 15 inch by 15 inch. First, I'm going to straighten up the edges of the upper top of this fabric. So I'm just going to take my ruler and lay that still on an angle, just like so. And then I'm going to take my rotary cutter and cut. Now I'm going to align these upper edges of my fabric with one of the line of the cutting mat, just like so. So this will be my guide to straighten up the rest of the fabric. Next, we're going to straighten up the side. So I'm going to start from my right hand side here. So I'm aligning my ruler with one of the line of the cutting mat just to make sure that I will cut a straight line. And you want to do very conservative for this side, because you don't want to cut too much that you can't trim the other side, just to make sure that you have allowance to make this fabric measuring 15 inches. Now you're going to measure from the right hand side 15 inches, and then you want to lay your ruler on that 15 inch point and then go ahead and cut. Now we're going to straighten up the bottom. So measure 15 inch from the top and then lay your ruler and cut. And voila, the front exterior is done. For the back exterior shell, we're gonna use 2 rectangles, and then we're going to sew them pretty much the same way we did sewing the strips. So lay your fabrics right side together with a slight angle on one of the sides, pin them in place with a couple of pins, and then go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Trim off the excess fabric and then go ahead and give this a quick press. Then we're going to trim this to measure 15 inches by 15 inches, the same way we did with the front exterior shell. For the interfacing, we will use the fusible woven interfacing. This should be cut exactly the same size as the exterior shell, and we're gonna use also the fusible fleece. You will need to cut your fusible fleece 1/2 inch shorter than the exterior shell. We're gonna first fuse the fusible woven interfacing, so you wanna lay your fabric wrong side up, and then lay the fusible woven interfacing glue side down, and then you're going to fuse this with an iron according to the manufacturer's instruction. Once you've done that, you want to take your fusible fleece and lay that on the wrong side, glue side down as well. Since we cut this fusible fleece 1/2 inch shorter, so you will have 1/2 inch gap on the upper top of your fabric. Now go ahead and fuse this in place according to the manufacturer's instruction as well. Draw 2-inch squares on both bottom corners of the front and back exterior shell to box the corners of your bag later. Now we're going to work on the interior of the bag, so prepare your lining pieces and your pocket pieces as well. Lay your pocket pieces right side together just like so. Then you're going to sew the top and the bottom with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Once you've done sewing, go over to your ironing board and then press the seams open. Now turn this piece inside out, give this a quick press, and then you're going to top stitch along the upper top of this pocket. Lay your pocket piece on the right side of your lining, about 4 inches from the top, just like so. Now draw a line right on the center of your pocket, so I simply measure 7.5 inch with my ruler and then use my fabric marker to mark it. Now I'm gonna put a couple of pins to keep this in place. Now we're going to sew right on the center and the bottom as well. And that's it. The pocket is done. Don't worry about the sides here. It's gonna get stitched anyway with the side seams. You will also need to cut the 2-inch squares on both bottom corners of your interior lining pieces. And if you want to add more pockets on your other lining piece, you can do so. You can add slip pockets or you can add zipper pocket. It's up to you. Now we're going to work on the strap anchor. So take your strap anchor piece. So it's just a rectangle measuring 5 by 4 inches. And then you want to go to your ironing board, fold it in half and press. And then fold the edges towards the center fold just like so, and then press, and then fold everything in half and then press. And once you've done that, you want to go ahead and sew along the edges with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Once you've done that, you're going to cut the strip in half, so just measure 2.5 inch or right on the center and then cut. Now with the adjustable strap, we will do the pressing pretty much the same way. I cut my strap 60 inches long and 4 inches wide. In this case, you may have to join 2 strips together because most quilt weight fabric comes only 42 inches from the bolt. I also fuse my strap with the fusible woven interfacing that I cut 2 inches wide only and 59 inches long, or 1 inch shorter than my strap measurement, and I position my fusible woven interfacing right on the center and 1/2 inch away from the edge on both sides. So you want to first fold this edge in about 1/2 inch and then press, and then you want to do the same with the other end of your strap, and then you're going to fold this in half and press, and then open up the fold and then fold the edges towards the center fold and press, and then fold everything in half again and press. So you're going to end up with 1-inch strip. Then you're going to sew all around with 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. Next, we're going to attach the strap anchors to the back exterior shell. So you're gonna need two 1-inch D-rings for this. Insert your strap anchor through the D-ring, and then you're going to position that on the side about 1.5 inches away from the top. Secure that in place with a fabric clip. You want to do the same with the other side, and then go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Alright, now we're going to prepare the zipper. So your zipper should be at least 15-inch long, and obviously my zipper is a lot longer than I need it. So I'm going to trim this. So what I'm gonna do first is to align the zipper with the top of my fabric, just like so. So I'm aligning the top tape extension, and then I'm going to cut the extra zipper. Now we're going to make the zipper tab. So cut 2 strips of fabric. The width of the fabric should be the same width as the width of your zipper tape. And the length of the strip should be at least 4 inches. And I also fuse my strips with the fusible woven interfacing. Now you're going to fold this in half. And then you want to place this 1.5 inch away from the end of your zipper. Then I'm going to put a couple of fabric clips to secure this in place. And you want to do the same with the other end of the zipper as well. Then we're going to sew right along the edges about 1/8 of an inch of seam allowance. So I move my needle all the way to the left, and I use the edge of my presser foot as the guide. I also place a scrap of fabric that I folded twice just to level up my presser foot so I won't have a problem with my fabric puckering. Once you've done sewing the zipper tab, you're going to align your zipper with one of the exterior shell, and then you want to center the position, and whatever excess zipper tab that you got, just trim that off. I've already trimmed this side, so now I'm going to trim this one. Lay your front exterior shell right side up and your zipper right side down, just like so. And then you're going to take your lining piece and lay that right side down, and then you're going to secure them in place with some fabric clips, and you may want to open your zipper all the way. Now go ahead and sew along the edges with about 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Open up the sandwich, and then you're going to smoothen up the seams. I'm going to use my hair marker here and just press the seams along the edges. You can also use iron, but just make sure you set your iron on low setting, and if you have pressing cloth you may want to use that. Just be very careful with your zipper, especially if you use nylon zipper like me. You may want to be very cautious. Alright, so once everything is nicely pressed, go ahead and top stitch along the edges. Lay your back exterior shell right side up, and then you want to lay the zipper right side down, and then take the other lining piece and lay that right side down as well. Secure them in place with some fabric clips, and then go ahead and sew with 1/4 inch of seam allowance. Open up the sandwich, smoothen up the edges, and then go ahead and top stitch. Now you're going to take your exterior shell and have them right side together, and also have the lining right side together, just like shown here. Then you're going to secure them in place with some fabric clips starting from the zipper seams. So you want to match those seams and do the same with the other side and make your way around. Once everything is secure, go ahead and sew starting from the sides, and then you want to sew the bottom. However, you want to leave about 5 to 7 inches of opening right on the bottom of your lining to turn this piece inside out later. So you want to sew with 1/2 inch of seam allowance, and I like to use my walking foot to do this job, just a personal preference. And if you wonder what kind of needle I use the Microtex needle size 9014. So this is how mine turned out, and here is the opening hole in the bottom. Now we're going to box the corners of this bag. So take the one of the corner and you want to open that up and then match the seams, secure them in place with a fabric clip, and then go ahead and sew with 1/2 inch of seam allowance. Once you've boxed all the corners, go ahead and turn the bag inside out through the opening hole. And you want to poke the corners with your fingers. You want to use some kind of blunt end object like the tip of your pen to push the corners of your zipper. Now you want to take your lining piece out and find that opening hole, fold the raw edges towards the inside about 1/2 inch, and then you want to go ahead and sew this close. Once you've done that, put the lining back inside. Prepare your strap and your adjuster and the lobster clasp as well. Take your adjuster and hold it right side up, and then take one of the end of your strap and feed that through from the wrong side up to the right side and then back down to the wrong side. And you want to have about 1.5 inches of clearance, just like so. And then you want to go ahead and sew 2 lines to secure this in place, and you're going to end up with something like this. Now you want to set this aside in the same position. Take the other end of your strap and feed that through one of the lobster clasps. Then you want to take your adjuster and feed the end of your strap from the wrong side towards the right side and back down to the wrong side. Pull your strap through. Meanwhile, you want to double check just to make sure that there is no twist with your strap. Now you want to take the other lobster clasp and feed that through the end of the strap from the outside towards the inside. Again, you want to have about 1.5 inches of clearance there, and then go ahead and sew 2 lines to secure everything in place. You may want to sew back and forth for a few times just to make sure that your strap will have extra bond. Now that your strap is ready to go ahead and attach it to your bag, and voila, you are done and you have yourself a new bag. So I hope your bag turned out great. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to this channel so you won't miss any future upload, and I shall see you next time with another fun sewing project. Goodbye!